God gives each of us free will, and that means that I must respect someone else's right to choose, even if I don't agree, even if it breaks my heart, even if I would have done it differently, even if. Hi, my friend. Welcome to the Bounce Back Black Woman podcast. I'm Dell, and I've overcome some of the most devastating heartbreaks I could ever have imagined. Do you find yourself stuck in sadness after a broken heart, asking God, why me? Well, I'm here to help women just like you heal and build the resilience to overcome life's greatest hurts. If you long for joy and confidence again, this podcast is for you. So grab your headphones and those heartbreaks. Let's talk. Hey there, my friend, and welcome back to Bounce Back Black Woman. I'm Coach Dell, and today's episode is coming straight from my heart and straight out of a real conversation that I had this weekend with my lifelong sisters, friends that I've made 40 plus years ago, and we still get together, talk, share, love on each other, and just lift one another up. We were sitting around and we were talking about everything from motherhood to menopause to mistakes we've made. And one theme kept coming up, that deep, lingering kind of heartbreak that happens. Not because someone meant to hurt you, but because of the choices that they made for themselves. So today we're diving into something that I think every one of us has wrestled with at some point or another. The tension between free will and expectations. Because if you've ever been left disappointed, confused, or hurt by someone else's decision, this one is for you. Here's what really made me pause during that conversation. One of my closest friends shared a story about someone in her life that was making a decision that to this day still stings. And the thing is, it wasn't a malicious act. It wasn't a hurtful decision. It wasn't a betrayal. It was simply a moment where they chose what they thought would be best for them. And it left those who loved her disappointed, concerned, upset, and even angry. And y'all, I felt that in my soul, listening to her pour out her concerns and her fears. Because I've been there too. I've been in relationships where someone walked away without even trying. I've been in friendships that abruptly change without explanation or any type of closure. I've watched family members settle for destructive or abusive treatment rather than accepting help from others. I've been the mother holding my breath, hoping my child would make a different decision. And in every one of those moments, I felt this internal tension between wanting to accept their free will and feeling crushed that they didn't choose themselves or didn't choose the path that I thought would be best. But here's what I've come to understand. People have the right to choose what's best for them. And sometimes the choices they make will break your heart. But also, two things can be true at once. Both things can be true. And unless you have a crystal ball and can predict the future, your choice for them could have been just as hard or just as catastrophic or just as painful as the one that they actually chose. You can love someone and still not understand why they made the choices they made. You can silently and privately wish that they would have stayed, that they would have left, that they would have called, that they would have shown up differently, or that they would have blocked that person without being the villain in their story. You know, that one who says, "I told you so," or "How could you do this?" with the look in your eyes. And we all know that look because we've seen it at one time or another in someone else's eyes when we stood on our ground. There's a passage in Ecclesiastes that has helped me come to terms with this. And it says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing." And that comes from Ecclesiastes 3, verses 1 through 5. And boy, that one line speaks to me, especially as a mother, a sister, a friend, and a woman who has definitely wanted more for someone than they were choosing for themselves. And I know with the choices that I've made from time to time in my life that I was the person that someone else needed to think about that verse because my choices weren't honoring the best of what they wanted for me. But here's what I've learned. Just because I want better for someone doesn't mean that it's my place to decide what their better looks like. God gives each of us free will, and that means that I must respect someone else's right to choose, even if I don't agree, even if it breaks my heart, even if I would have done it differently, even if. Ecclesiastes doesn't just remind me that life moves in seasons. It reminds me that the season someone else is in might not match my expectations, and that is okay. There is a time to speak, and there is a time to be silent, a time to support actively, and a time to step back, pray, and trust God to do what only He can do. Romans 14:12 and 13 says, "So then, each of us will give an account of ourselves to God. Therefore, let us stop passing judgment on one another." Whew. So let's be real. Sometimes the hardest part isn't what they did. It's watching them do something that you wouldn't have done. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes the hardest part isn't what they actually did. It's watching them do something that you wouldn't. Something you think will make things worse, more difficult, and wanting so badly to step in and fix it. It's like watching a slow motion car crash. You want to scream, grab the wheel to save them from themselves. And that impulse, it comes from love, but it also comes from a need to feel in control. Psychologists call this enmeshment, and that's when your identity and emotional state gets all tangled up in someone else's decisions or their well-being. But hear me clearly, friend. You can love someone fully and still release them to follow their own path. Love does not equal control, and their healing is not your assignment. If you're carrying the weight of someone else's decision, I want you to pause with me here. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and then let it go. Let's not pretend that it didn't hurt. Let's not rush to forgive and forget. but let's also not stay stuck in a place that's keeping us from healing. So here's a journal prompt for you for this week. Where am I still expecting someone to choose differently? And what would it look like? What would it feel like to release them and release myself at the very same time? I want you to think about that and journal about it, and you might be surprised at what comes out. So, I knew this episode was going to go deep, my friend, but you don't have to process this alone. These are the moments that we need community the most. And like I said in the beginning, this conversation happened in community with sisters around us who love one another and support each other and want the best for each other. And it was hard. It was painful. In addition to the private community you've heard me talk about on the app called Geneva, I've since reopened my Facebook group called Bounce Back Black Woman. And that too is a safe space that I invite you to join, to be able to reflect and share and grow with myself and other women who truly get it. So come and join us. Whether you want to quietly read or fully engage, this is your invitation to be surrounded by sisterhood. I'll be posting replays and snippets from the podcast, posing questions for you to contemplate and chime in on and grow together with us. So make sure you check the show notes or go to Facebook and search Bounce Back Black Woman and join us there. And don't forget, there's also the Bounce Back Journal that's available to help you dig deeper through writing and journaling. You'll find that on the website as well. And as a reminder, the website is bouncebackblackwoman.com. So thank you for listening today, my friend, and thank you for showing up for yourself, for your relationships, and for those who need you and love you the most, even with a tender heart. You're not broken. You're not alone, and you are bouncing back. One breath, one decision, one release at a time. I'll see you next time, my friend. Well, that's it for today, my friend. I really hope this episode inspired, encouraged, or just plain comforted you. If so, please share it with a friend who might be struggling in her own healing journey. And if you take a moment to leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts, you'll help other women find encouragement through their heartbreak. Remember that God is holding your hand along this journey, and guess what? I'm holding the other. Life is short, so bounce back, Black woman.